Welcome back, everyone, to the Guns of Boom Challenger Series Season 2, Cup number 7. I'm Jason Kappen, still joined here. Luckily, he tried to run away to go grab a coffee, but I was like, no, we got more Guns of Boom action to cast. It's lethal. We finished our first game of the day, and now Lazarus is going to be sitting here waiting, watching to see if they have to fully try hard in their last match of the day to get through into the Pro Series, into Dallas, Texas, with a lot of money on the line, getting to meet us as well. I feel like that's a big deal. Probably him more than me. You're the bigger deal.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Get to eat some great food there. You get to, live the American life, the American dream. And you get to play some games here. You get to actually compete on a stage with an audience and with commentators there as well. So lethal. First game done and dusted. Going into game 2 here in just a few moments of time. Can Ember, you think? Give me your honest. Give me your professional commentator answer, and then your honest answer. Can Ember take this? Those are, for people at home don't know, there's two different things. Your professional commentator's answer and your honest answer. But what's your professional commentator's answer?
It's probably going to be the same answer both sides anyway, no matter what we're speaking. But it's going to be quite a difficult one. Lazarus, they could be comfortable now. They've got to the final with that 2-0 and with Hacky as well. You saw, there was a spark there. They are a pretty good team from what we've seen compared to previous cups where their placements were quite poor. But at least they managed to step up and make it to the semi-final. So commiserations to them, but they did a good job anyway.
It's a shame it was so late in the cups, though. That's the only unfortunate part.
Yeah, that's the other thing as well. And now in this next match, going back to your question with Ember and Forza, it's going to be a difficult one because, with Ember, they're not a team to be taken lightly, and we're going to see if they are taken lightly going into this, as Forza need this win to be able to have a chance of qualifying.
All right, well, here we go. Back on Paradise Islands on King of the Hill. And Ember have been able to make their way through to the semifinals, able to guarantee themselves a minimum of $100 and 40 points. But again, those 40 points aren't really going to matter unless you're Lazarus or Forza here.
Yeah, Forza managed to take all 4 down straight away. Great way to start things off, but you saw a couple of members, I think that was Spleen, just getting a little bit too aggressive on their spawn to try and get that flank, which is fair enough. You can make that play sometimes, but sometimes it's a little bit too open. But Stas in there, triple elimination from him, just to add insult to injury at this stage.
Yeah, and they're pushing their own spawn as well. I mean, it's not necessarily a thing you need to do, but I think they're really trying to hammer this one down, saying, we are the better team. We're going to take the fight to you, even with spawn protection. We're not going to care. It looks like finally the point will be turned over here to Ember, though. We're going to obviously see some contention come out. Stason is just on a rampage. 111 points. He's pretty much double the second highest player on his team.
Yeah, that's the problem with this map as well on spawn. You can't really push too far because as soon as you attack someone with respawn immunity, it's going to be a huge problem there. Doran with another triple elimination there. They are making a slow comeback here, but just not getting this point on. You've got some of these players on Forza just contesting it and doing such a great job doing this as well. Stassing again coming from behind. That's already 3 down for Ember here, and it's not looking too good to start in his first game.
Yeah, Stassen's just been given so much ground to run with Hale. Going to be actually pushing up against Tal here, and should be a relatively easy elimination. Stason was there to back him up as well. You can see Doran coming in from behind. He does get the elimination, does get the frag on the board. They do have control of the point here in a few seconds, so well done by them. But now here's the hard part. You've taken the point, which we've seen teams do all day long so far, but can you maintain control of it? Can you win these aim battles? You can see Tal not even looking near Hale.
Yeah, they're going to have to choose these fights very wisely here. Need to at least get some damage done beforehand, but somehow Armace, he went on his own, managed to get a trade anyway. So important, so crucial, but a double elimination there from Hale, but does get trade off in the end. Spleen going straight in. We know what he's like as a player, extremely aggressive, but it seems like now Forza are going to try and get that point back.
I think something that's so important we're seeing Forza do is when they attack, they're never attacking from the same spot. They're constantly coming in from all these different angles, so you can never feel comfortable. You can never use cover to your advantage to hide behind. They're always going to have someone firing at you. You can see there, Tal looking the wrong way. Stason's going to eventually take him down. And they're just attacking from all these angles and providing no real chance for Ember to defend.
This is the issue as well. We do have the objective in hand. You can just sit back and snipe from not weird angles, but slightly unorthodox angles just to keep him at bay, get some damage done, and then no matter what happens, when you try and pick a fight or try and get the objective back, you're always going to be quite weak after the next one. So it's going to be quite difficult, but for Ember to take this game back, we're going to need, well, probably a miracle right now.
I think that's why we're seeing, Forza get so aggressive off of taking the point, because then they take the fight to you. They don't let you set up the way you want to attack the point. They're not letting you get comfortable. They get the first shot off on you to get you weak coming into the fight after. And if they do lose it, and speaking of losing, I don't think that we're going to see Forza do that at all here. 944 points to 700 and about 50. Yes, the point will be controlled the blue side of Ember, but not for much longer.
Yeah, Hale shutting him down there and getting that double elimination from behind. But even though we get a trade-off there, I think it's just going to be a little bit too late here. And even though they get a nice double, they do get taken down. And Forza, with that first win and stats in 14 kills, I'm not really too surprised with the amount of flanks he did, but Doran did pretty good well himself, 16 kills on his side.
I want to call him Stason.
Yeah?
Just because he sounds closer to Jason, so I can feel like I actually accomplished something in esports.
So you have like a bit more of a meaning?
I mean, we can talk about what we talked about off air in rehearsals and about whether or not the games I played was a legitimate esport or not. I say it is. We don't need to hear what he has to say, but that was well done by Forza. Now one more map away from getting through to the finals, and that's where it's the big battle. That's where winner of that one goes through to the event, and unfortunately, the loser is going to have to watch from home.
Yeah, this is the problem now. With Forza, I was quite surprised with their start strategy, the fact that they went straight into the objective and in the open as well. Because if you're in the open in that kind of circumstances, it's very difficult because straight away, when you're actually going through this replay here, look, you see 2 or 3 of them going straight away inside. But one thing to point out is the fact that Stassen went straight in onto their spawn, but trying to keep him at bay, even if he died on their side of the map, to keep him at bay enough time in order to get that objective.
You saw right there as well. Sorry to cut you off, just to point out, Stason got a triple because they all went into the house towards the point, and they're all lined up front with a shotgun. Like, you again, just to really emphasize, Forza did such a great job of attacking from so many different angles, and with this aggressive play coming out of them, I think they catch Ember off guard, then they force them to go one direction because you have to deal with that player in your spawn. I actually liked the strategy. I really liked it, and it worked out really well for it. I was more convincing for me than seeing Lazarus earlier on. And that has nothing to do with the caliber of teams or anything like that. They just seem, in general, a better team on this map.
Yeah, it did seem like it. We saw some different, not strategies, but their movement in terms of how they actually execute the sites. So you saw, you know, with Ember, they pushed in more as a wolf pack and threw some fours now and again. But with Forza, they're more focused on getting on the angles. And there was some aggression here and there as well, but only when they knew they got 2 there, which is quite standard when you actually try and push onto the site.
And I think it's also important to realize that, like, hitting that first shot is so important, because that's a complete advantage. As long as, if you're assuming both players are equally accurate in their shots, whoever gets the first shot off generally will win the fight, right? And that surprise factor coming around the corner with a shotgun in your spawn is completely going to catch you off guard. And the positions they were defending from multiple angles made it very hard for you to, you know, easily get into the point with a lot of HP, you know, with a really good setup. But now we're moving into our second map, Farming Complex. Going to go over to Control. And so far, the Control is going the way of Ember.
That's right. You've got first strike there from Speedman. Get a nice double to start things off. And already 4 down on the side of Forza now. So we're going to see what they can do to try and make some kind of comeback here. And normally when you do see a full wipe, you will see the opponent to try and hide on certain angles too, even though they will get eliminated at some stage, but at least they get the first shot to get some damage done to finish them off on the respawn.
We do have a 2-point control here coming in for Forza. And again, pushing in towards our spawn. Stason leading the charge, gets himself another. He's currently up to 46 points, leading his team yet again. The real stand-up player for me. Coming from behind, Hale's going to fall, though, to the knife. And Adorn, who was the big point leader for Ember on our first map.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job that last map with 16 kills. The rest of the team, you know, it's more damage dealt rather than getting the kills done, but mainly helping out Doran there. But Stason now managed to clean up Spleen. He needs to try and set some of his points on the board now. Doran again, and Stason with a second one to clean things up. Great job from him.
He had a nice little spot with the nade, actually. It came, like, right through a pallet, like through the corner of it. Landed on point, did some decent damage as well. They do have a nice point lead, closing on about 100 points. I've learned over the course of my time being a commentator to never do math on air, as I tried to quickly do it in my head as I was talking, and it's about 104, 102 now.
Maths is okay. It's fine. You know,
it's not bad. It's been worse.
It's average, no? Average is your best?
Just say counting is very difficult on air, but I swear I can do it when I'm not in front of the camera.
That's what they always say.
You get camera shy.
But we've got Ember now. They've finally taken the lead. Only a small amount now between both teams, and this is where we're going to see one of his teams manage to stabilize now. Even though Forza is slightly ahead, we need to see what happens later on in this game in terms of how they're going to strategize getting at least 2 of his points on the board and put him on spawn.
Yeah, I mean, getting ahead is great, but it's all about maintaining the lead and building the lead, and that's what we've not been able to see Ember do. Yes, they had the lead in the beginning. They just had the lead about 10, 15 seconds ago, but look how quickly that lead changed. 100-point difference now from them having the lead. That's how fast this gameplay can be, and that's how fast you can go from being in first to second.
And it's a lot of his team wipes that Emma's been having as well. Even though they've been doing a great job getting them all on spawn and preparing for the next wave on the death cycle, you've noticed there that the Forza guys, they don't just go in separately. They wait for each other to spawn, bait and switch, and go for the next point straight afterwards. And it's how you really should play this map in particular.
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's going to be very strategic heavy. Obviously, a lot of deathmatch comes into play, but this is all about getting those favorable fights. You know, the 2-on-1s, the 3-on-2s, and coming out ahead, and ideally coming out healthy in the midst of that as well. C point will be turned over to Forza. I think A is going to be turned over to Ember in a few seconds, but Hale has something to say about it as well. Stayson coming in. They're going to be having a 2-point hold here most likely, unless they lost the fight towards C, which it seems they have.
Yeah, Ember really need to do something now. Only 100 points away until Forza do take this now, and it's going to be quite difficult, and you love my maths. So
I thought you were going to do it there. I was like, it's not 100 points. That's pretty easy. You could probably say 100.
It was 96. Yeah, you wanted to be super accurate. But anyways, 50 points away now. That I can do. And it looks like Forza could be taking this one by the look of things.
Yeah, 100%. As you do see them cross the 1,200 point threshold. Hale at 11 kills, Stayson at 11, 7-7 for Larson and Devi. On the other side, I mean, kills are generally equal between the two teams, but it wasn't about the kills. It's about controlling those points and about getting those favorable fights.
Yeah, you saw from there that Forza were a lot more prepared in terms of setting up for when they actually push out on spawn in those kind of areas. But it's a bit weird because with Ember, sometimes they've got a little bit over-aggressive, maybe a bit overzealous, and with the respawn immunity, it make things 10 times harder. But, you know, great play by Forza there.
Did you calculate the 10 times as well?
Maybe.
That's impressive if you did.
Well, my maths is all right.
I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you. Just like I'm trusting these highlights to really show how we did see Forza pick up the victory. Again, I think one of the keys to victory is just about getting those favorable exchanges. I know it sounds like a broken record, but that's what it's about strategically, guys. When it comes to maps like this, you need to, you know, have a good idea of where the enemy team's going. You need to have a good understanding of like where you can position yourself to get the favorable fights. And more importantly, you got to be super accurate too, because you need to not only hit your shots, but you have to make it so the other guy has an even more difficult time hitting the shots against you.
Yeah, that's right. And you saw in times and time again, they don't really separate too much. Emma did do a good job sticking together and making sure nothing will come left, right, and centre, but their awareness needs to be improved just a little bit more. They were caught off guard sometimes. I think they were a little bit worried where when the team of Forza would actually sit back and wait for each other, Ember would then make the assumption that they've already preparing the flank, but actually they were just sitting on spawn, wait for the opportunity. So it's kind of like a bit of mind games here and there.
And I mean, mind games, even though it's an FPS at heart and that's the base mechanics of it, mind games always take it to that next level. Whether it's this FPS game or any other FPS game out there, you need to have a strong thing in here. And no, that's not my heart, that's my brain, even though it might be very small inside. I can actually hear it rattling.
Well, like
sometimes.
A hamster will?
Sometimes. Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah.
Let's go with that. Yeah, have a hamster living in my head. I'm kidding. I believe we're going to head to a break, though, because we do have to get ready for our grand finals. It's going to be a good one. Lazarus up against Torres. No idea. Sorry, Forza. No idea who's going to win this one. But the winner will be going through to Texas to eat barbecue and, to more importantly, play for a big chunk of money. We'll see you guys after the break. Welcome back, everyone, to the Guns of Boom Season 2 Challenger Series. I'm Jason Kapp, and I'm not a weight screen, and he's lethal. He is the weight screen, because look at that beautiful put-em on his face. And we have now our finals here of Cup 7, the final cup here as we lead into the Pro Series, and we're going to find out at the end of this next match, this best of 5. God, yeah, I can't help but look away from you. I'm going to get lost in your eyes.
Love it. I know.
We're going to find, where was I? We're going to find out who's going to North America, who's going to be one of the EU representatives, or the last EU representative to join Unbreakable into Texas, into barbecue land.
Yeah, this is going to be a good barbecue land. Where did that come? I like it. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, they got great Mexican food and great barbecue. They have great food, period, in Texas.
I'll just do it for the barbecue. Really.
Everything's
I'm a barbecue man. I'm a barbecue man.
I'm going to love if we go on air. Not to spoil anything in Texas, because I just kind of spoiled that we're going to be there. You just have barbecue sauce all over your shirt. I'm kind of hoping you have like a spotty shirt just so it kind of blends in. But you know what? Enough about us, because we have Lazarus against Forza. Winner of this goes through. This is the ultimate match. The ultimate way, I think, to end the Challenger Series here for Europe. Winner goes through to the main event, and winner has that chance to win that extra money.
This is it now. If Ember won, then it wouldn't be so much of a spectacle for the final. But the fact that whoever wins this, no matter the points now, will guarantee their trip to Texas for the NA Pro Series. It's going to be so important. But Forza, we haven't seen really too much of like good performances in terms of offline results. But with Lazarus, after last week not having a good result at IEM, they're going to really want to reset their mentality and really try and go for this. Because I really feel like they can, now they've got Romeo back on board for this event. But can they do it? I think they can, but Forza looked really strong in that last series.
And just to give you guys an idea about how close these two are, if Lazarus wins, they'll only be ahead by 10 points.
And that's literally nothing.
That's like if you're one of these two teams and you're thinking back to prior cups, like if we just won that one match, if we just got one step further to tournament, or maybe if we just played that cup that time. I don't know if they played all the cups. Like that could have been the deciding factor between going to Texas and not. And that's something that all of you at home should keep in mind as well, because after today, the points will reset and we'll still have more Challenger Series to come up. Next one leading into a Latin America event. Not going to spoil where it's going to be just yet, but we do know where it is.
It's going to be a good
somewhere in Latin America.
That's right. Just one of the countries. We'll find out soon enough. But yeah, you're right. You know, with the point reset, it gives all the new teams another chance to actually come back now. But we're going to go straight into this first game between Lazarus and Forza.
Yep, heading over to Farming Complex. Going to start off with some Control Point. We're moving on to Military Warehouse for some TDM. Then over to HM Skyscrapers. And if we do need it, Wild West Saloon as our 5th and final map. And so far, off the bat, it's going to be a slight lead for Forza, but that lead's quickly going to turn over towards Lazarus, as they now have, well, they had the lead themselves until they lost about 3 players.
Well, if it's going to be Game 5, then Lazarus is going to be very happy about that, because that's one of their better maps. But this is also one of their better maps. They're not too bad on this. Even though they didn't show strong showing last week against Noble, they're not weak on this. It's going to be one of the situations where we have to see how Forza play this. But so far, they've had a good start.
So I was saying before, when we saw Paradise Islands comparing the two teams, I thought Forza played it much better. The problem is, though, that King of the Hill, we're not going to that map in particular, but that's our 5th and final. So to see potentially, you know, if we do get to that final map, I would honestly put my money over towards Forza with just how they played that alone. I guess it more comes down to the way Lazarus is going to respond to that situation. But look at this, 150-point difference here in favor of Forza so far, really putting their foot into this door here, making their first step forward into the main event here coming up in Texas.
Yeah, they've been playing so well. Hale earlier had another triple elimination, so managed to keep the entire Lazarus squad on spawn. But as well as they're gelling and working together now, they seem to get the angles quite well.
Can we commentate in cowboy hats?
I think I think we need to. If we as well.
Can we do like a full Texas suit? Which is a full denim suit, basically.
I've never done it before, but
a nice big belt buckle, and can we have like spurs? I am into this. I am totally into this.
Mate, if you do it, I'll do it. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm just gotta find suits that are that tall, I guess.
Well, if it's that tall, then leave me out, because I'm quite short, so.
I mean, you're average height. You're normal height. I'm just a freak.
You just make me look short.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, it's also short right now. Currently points here for Lazarus, 587 compared to 800. The biggest lead we've seen all day so far. And these teams are more evenly matched, or we assume are more evenly matched than the prior two we've had.
Yeah, when we saw Lazarus play Hacky earlier, you know, the scores were quite close, but managed to get a convincing 2-0. But how Forza played against Ember earlier, I was quite surprised considering how convincing it was. So we're going to see exactly what else they can do in this first map. You see Forza still doing such a great job of keeping him on spawn, but as you see, Lazarus are trying to work together, try and get that flank round, trying to do as much as they can, but Forza just doing such a good job just keeping them at bay.
You know what this reminds me of a little bit? And we're going to go a little bit sidetracked here, is Quake, actually.
Yeah?
Quake champions, in terms of having the right weapon for the right situation. We saw someone trying to go for a long-range shot, and then Stayson comes up with a shotgun. He didn't have the right weapon out. He could do the same amount of damage, and Stayson wins that battle. It just seems to be a kind of a story here for Forza so far over the course of today.
No, you're not far from wrong there, but even now, though, I don't think Lazarus can do too much more. 200-point difference, and there's still only 80 points, 70 points now to go for Forza. It's looking like it could be a first victory for Forza in a way to potentially book in their place into Texas.
I don't think they can even lose this match anymore. They have a 2-point cap currently, 1194, 1198, and 1200 right around the corner. And they will take their first map here in this best of 5 very quickly. But that is, again, one of the biggest leads we've seen so far today. And if you're Lazarus, you have to be a little bit worried now going into the rest of this series. Maybe control point is just not your style. Problem is, map 3 will be control. So you're going to have to win one of these eventually. Well, technically, you don't have to, but then that means you have to win this next map. So I'm trying to do the math again in my head. You have to win this next map then.
Do maths. You just shouldn't do it.
Oh, they don't win this map, they're going back to control and atrium. So if they're not going to favor controls up against Forza, they need to win this TDM map, because then the final 2 is a TDM and a Koth. So,
but they're not that bad at control, which is what I'm quite surprised with. Even on this map, with a 200-point gap, like, you know, that's not unheard of. It is quite common, but for a team like Lazarus, they should be the one with the 200-point lead. But there's so many things Forza did just to keep him at bay. Like, for example, you know, when they actually got him on spawn, they hit.
Oh, you missed the knife twice?
Straight for the spawns as well. And yeah, it's hard to say, really. Lazarus aren't looking the greatest right now, but maybe this could be not one of their map picks.
Maybe indeed. I'm actually curious to see if we do have a highlight of that Stayson play I was talking about, where he kind of ran around the corner.
But
yeah, right there. I think he was up against a guy who didn't have a shotgun out. He got the first shot off, and then he switched to shotgun. It's like, you're not going to win those exchanges. You shouldn't be able to win those exchanges. So really good job by Forza just to have the right weapon in the right situations, you know?
Yeah, because even though you do switch weapons, it takes 1 or 2 seconds, but it's the feeling, you know, mentality-wise, of actually being able to get caught off guard and be able to switch at the same time. You may be able to fit one shot off, but even then, it's not enough to keep him from the points.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how good your aim is going to be. Once you've taken a big chunk of damage from a shotgun, the only way you're going to win that fight is the other guy misses. And at that level of play we're currently sitting at, no one's going to miss those shots unless you're me.
Well, you know, you can't put yourself too short.
I mean, at least I don't play with a controller.
See, he's talking about me being a console kid, but, you know, he thinks he's gone on the PC. He's not.
Okay, well, you know what we're going to have, actually, after this match. We still have North America come up later. Before North America, him and I are going to go showdown, throw down, put money on the line here. $10,000, 1v1, Guns of Boom.
Well,
You keen to take that bet?
Well, I feel bad for taking money from you. See?
You know, you're bluffing because too. You're bluffing as well, but you caught my bluff first.
I'm not saying anything, but like, I mean, you know, it says
you have 10 grand. I don't.
I don't, but I don't know. I don't know where we'll get it from, but yeah.
Production. Do you guys have 10 grand?
I think that could be a no.
No, not at all. I thought they'd give me a thumbs up, but instead I got something else. I got told nope. We are moving on to our next map, so we'll be hopping in just a few seconds, and it's going to be over on Military Warehouse, and it's going to be TDM. And I feel like, again, this is going to be a map that Forza is going to favor. They just seem to be, in terms of fragging power, the better team.
Yeah, well, this map is one of the better maps for Noble, but Noble aren't in this. But we've seen Lazarus do quite well on this map as on top of things, but didn't have a great showing at IEM on this map, so we'll have to see what changes they've made. They've only had to make in terms of like what they can do, but see how it goes.
Say they didn't have a great showing. I didn't think they showed up. 4-0.
AFK.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be fair, they were there and they were playing, but it just wasn't third day, unfortunately for them. They had to stand in, if I'm not mistaken, you were telling me about, so that can definitely harm you quite a bit. And as I talked about, Forza seem to have the better aiming when it comes to these battles. At the moment, they have a massive lead in favor of Lazarus. And look at that coming in from the side, give me a nice little double out of Excellency, GOB, Excellency, able to get those massive frags. And this lead, over double the points here until that happened.
Yeah, Excellence did try and pull back then when he was on his own, since Spleen would take too much damage then. But instead they pulled back, but didn't pull back enough to actually gel with his teammates, to actually go around the wolf pack, to go around the side. So have to wait for the spawn cycle again, push up again. But look at this wolf pack from Lazarus squad. Even though 2 of them went just then, you saw there that Deadly managed to take him down no problem. Quite shocking.
And you can see the composure, I think, out of Forza. They're actually, once they get some eliminations, get some of the kills in, they hold some positions. They don't get too cocky like before, like we saw on Control Point. They're not rushing the spawns. They're trying to hold these angles and, again, get that early damage in and force Lazarus to come out of their own spawn and fight for tooth and nail every inch of this map. Or centimeter, I mean. I guess you were in Europe, so.
wherever you're. Pretty much.
So they're trying to really respect each other, as there's a lot of time going away without really much frags between the two teams. And I think you're really seeing like the composure and also the importance of this map here for both of them.
It's going to be very difficult when you get some of the players who are quite weak. They do try and snipe from these off-key angles, but even then, you've got to watch for the flank as well. If the team of Lazarus know that, then they're going to go straight in. As you can see there, 3 kills from that one instance, all on spawn now for Forza. Needs to try and work out a way to try and like cover the gap.
There's the excellence here, paired up with Romeo. Trying to push this side, but Hale and Deadly is going to try and back in on the scoreboard. And this might be the first time we're actually going to see them take the lead, though Deadly is very low in HP and eventually will fall to Romeo. 50 points separates the two, but we've seen how quickly that gap can really trade between the two teams, just coming down to a couple of the limbs. See Hale trying to snipe back here, not really able to hit any shots just yet. But he's waiting for some teammates to respawn in, and more importantly, able to heal up as well. And he gets caught without the right weapon out, and Excellence just drops him.
Yeah, Excellence very aggressive at change of style. Divine King must get 2 of his own as well. Must increase that lead just that little bit more now. And Forza, they do not want to take it to the game 5. They really want to try and close this out, maybe before that game 5 even happens. But it's going to be a tough one here. Lazarus doing a good job, just doing a bit of damage, but then again, he's still standing there. Managed to hold him back a little bit more, but Romeo, great kill from him to help things out to try and get that big double.
Yeah, he gets a double where he should have only gotten 1, but Stacen's going to try and back, getting himself a double. 40 points about between the two. A minute left to go here, Lethal, as things are really starting to wind down. They're really starting to crank up. 60 points left to go here for Lazarus to tie things up at 1 apiece. And you know Forza doesn't want to let that happen.
No, I don't want to let this happen at all now. 30-point gap here. We've seen this map on so many times in the past of how close it can be, but somehow Romeo managed to get that one there. Mano managed to get a double now. It's only 1 more kill in it between win for Lazarus here, but how are they going to get it? It's going to be a tough one now. They're all trapped on spawn, trying to get 1 by 1, but they managed to get 2 free down now.
Don't tell me they win this. Do not tell me they come back. Divine King's trying to stay alive, just trying to stay back, wait for his teammates to respawn back in. 25 seconds to go, and Forza are going to have to make the move. They're going to have to put the pedal to the metal here to pick up these eliminations without dropping 1. Divine King's trying to play an off angle, trying to potentially catch them as they transition across. Here we go, the push comes in. Romeo, I think he connected the shot, and that will be Lazarus taking the map themselves, tying things up at 1 apiece, but damn, that was close.
That was so close. Literally, Forza had like at least 3 members trapped on spawn. There was nothing they could have done. They had to get some damage done beforehand, but you saw Lazarus, they got a bit overzealous, so they kind of pushed a bit too far onto their spawn. It wasn't because of respawn immunity or anything like that. They were just trying to get the off angles before they actually come out on spawn. Wasn't the case. Forza managed to get those 3 kills, and then you saw Lazarus managed to get the final 1. But either way, anything could have happened. Divine King, he was really weak.
Yeah.
He had a few of the players who were quite weak towards the end, but they were just trying to get their damage done and let one of the players with the most health and armor to push in and clean things up.
It seemed like as well that Lazarus is able to penetrate and go for these like weird flanking routes. They're able to catch them off guard so many times. Like there were so many situations we saw where a player off of Lazarus would get like 2, 3 kills when he should have gotten 1 max. Seemed like communication wasn't there, or maybe the shots just didn't hit out of Forza, but you can't have that happen, especially in TDM. I guess Control Point and Koth are a little bit more forgivable, but with only 500 points as a cap here on this mode, every kill counts.
I think that was the situation Divine King was in. Where he was standing, he probably got the first shot, but even then, he shouldn't be able to get a double like that. That was quite absurd. I would probably say missed a few shots here and there.
Yeah, and you're seeing right there as well. Like Romeo just dodged away from Larson, gets himself a double, almost gets a 3rd on a Stacy, who eventually got a triple himself. But there's so many situations like that. Romeo should have not gotten that second one. Just those shots were not landing it. And you saw what happened. It came down to like a 2 frag difference.
But even at the end, Forza shouldn't have got those last 3 kills anyway. That's why I was so surprised. They had the angles, they had the map control. Just let them come.
Yeah, well, you live, you learn, I guess. But they still won in the end. I would say, though, you know, when the pressure's on the line, you know, it was big bucks, and you're in Texas, and you're on the stage, and you got Lethal with barbecue sauce smeared all over his face and shirt. You know, that's when you really have to make the right moves. And this is like the perfect opportunity to train in those situations, because you have to win this match to get through to even that. So the pressure's on. You might not be on a stage right now, but you have to make the right decisions, and I would completely agree. Why not just all like sit in a room together, wait for them to come to you? But obviously the grenades can be a little bit of a distracting or disrupting factor in that situation. But either way, moving into now our 3rd map, Atrium, going back to control. And this is where Forza looked very, very strong.
You saw the Lazarus managed to get the first 2 kills there, but Larson just came from behind and cleaned one up anyway. But Great map control to start off for Lazarus here. See if they can get 2 more of those points on the board, but Larson and Stace managed to get running one anyway. But Divine King and Excellence have to clean up, trying to get one more, which they do.
Divine King up to 74 points. Lord Mono having a little bit of a rough start, but then again, it doesn't matter too much when you're currently up by about 30 points. You see now Deadly trying to push him from behind. Excellence should drop. And actually, Deadly's not even the one to get the kill there. So maybe a little bit of a miss shot coming through.
Yeah, Hale has been doing a great job on all of, well, on every map, not just in the last match of this one as well. He's been on cleanup duty so far, but look at that. Lazarus now, all 4 down, and it's just a matter of getting that map control, getting that high ground, keep him on spawn, and that way hopefully take this game. But so far, Forza done a not a bad job trying to get off spawn there, but then again, it was very easy for Lazarus to keep him at bay, get that damage done, and wait for that next fight.
This is definitely one of the more difficult maps, I'd say, if we compare the last 2 that we've had. There's different levels you have to fight on. It's not only are you aiming horizontally, like left to right, you have to aim up and down, you have to aim vertically. And that adds a completely different dimension when you're trying to attack these players. Obviously, if you put in the time that these players have, you generally should be good at it, but it does, you know, open up a lot more angles to be shot from. You have to play a lot more cautiously. So far, though, Forza, they do have the lead themselves. They're still looking to maintain it here, trying to fight around B. Nice little flank comes through out of Deadly to take Lord Mono out again.
Yeah, the B point is definitely the most difficult on this map. Your spawn location is literally right in front of you. So the only thing you can do is distract them by grabbing their A or C, depending on what they have, trying to keep them away from the middle and then grab it afterwards. Sometimes you need a full team wipe or get at least 3 down to even make an attempt at it.
Let's see, Hale not trying to push in towards C. No one there to defend that. Being shot from behind, I think that was Excellence, who does fall. No points in control here at the moment for Forza, so a lot of points can be tricking away as they're looking to take towards B. They should be able to secure this one, yes. They still have to make their way over towards A, then make their way over towards C to get the 2 points back for themselves. There's still 3 players on the B point, and the 3 players will eventually be cleaned up here, so all they did was net themselves the point for a little bit of time and net themselves the lead for a little bit longer, but eventually this should be turning.
This is exactly what I was talking about as well. As soon as they got 3 dead, they went straight in there, managed to get B. They're trying to get B now still, but Forza does such a good job contesting it now, and only 50 points stabilised between the 2 teams. It's so close. It's really been neck and neck, and neither team has managed to stabilise from that 100, 200 point gap.
Deadly's been able to do some serious work, as you saw before. The problem is Lord Mono's starting to wake up here. Back in the favor of Lazarus, they have about a 10-point difference between the 2. A and C still being maintained by them as the battle is still just breaking out towards B, and yet somehow Forza are still in the lead with 100 points left to go for both teams. They need to capture the point. They need to do it ASAP. They will rotate over towards A. We can see Lord Mono coming from behind. He should be able to win this battle, and I'm going to say I think Lazarus should be able to take this map.
You saw there was a great play from Mano. He was going to go for B point, but when he realised that A was being taken, there was only 1 member there. Just had to get him from behind, finish him off, and that's what he has done. But look how close the gap is now. It's only a few points separating them, but Forza managed to be able to take that right at the very end under their nose.
You know what amazes me about that is that I'm pretty sure Forza did not have control of 2 points for the majority of that game, and yet they still won based off of frags.
I would probably agree with that. It's just, it seemed a little bit weird how, on the circumstances you saw there, that they had 2 of the points, they were in a great position, managed to get map control, managed to come from behind to get the A towards the end, and it just seemed a little bit weird. We kind of made that assumption, but, you know, this is Guns of Boom, man. Sometimes these things can happen.
I'll let you off the hook. I definitely made the assumption that it should have been Lazarus winning, so if you want to, you know, not take the blame with me, that's cool.
Nah, I'll be honest. I kind of assumed that, you know, with a 40-point gap like that, it's so close to finishing the game, it's kind of those things where, you know, you make that assumption, but somehow Forza, right at the very end, managed to take that. So, you know, impressive stuff from them.
I really wish we had like a timer to see how long players had majority control, or teams had majority control, because I swear, you see right there, A and C still being controlled, it's still being controlled, B being fought for the entire time, A and C still in their control, Like, it's just ridiculous to see how long they actually did have these 2 points, but just coming into these eliminations, that's where the tide really turned. That's where, you know, Forza was able to really pull ahead.
Yeah, this is the final moments there, but I'm not too sure. Maybe they got a double or triple elimination because you get additional points. Maybe one of them had a kill streak in some way. Maybe something on the lines of that to actually help them get that lead at the end.
Had to have been something there.
Yeah, it was like 11.97 to 11.93, and we saw Lazarus there at the end, but I'm not too sure what Lazarus wanted to do. Maybe they could have stayed back and let the points speak for themselves and then go ahead afterwards, but yeah, that was definitely a close one.
I think maybe Lazarus kind of jumped the gun a little bit, and they were like, all right, well, we got this. Like, all right, we won, boys. We did it. We're up 2-1 now. 1 more round away from closing this out, but as we saw there, that just completely did not work out in their favor. But luckily for them, they're going back to TDM. This is where they were able to take the map earlier on. They did it fairly convincing, but they definitely showed they like to play a lot more passive when it comes to TDM, and force Forza to be the one to make the mistakes and to make the plays.
Yeah, TDM is naturally quite passive anyway, depending on which map it is, especially on maps like Europe Streets, but I don't think that's going to be played anyway. But it depends really. Normally in many FPS titles, if you see the team taking the objective game types, normally they end up winning the series, which I hope that's not the case. But like I mentioned before, if Lazarus take this game and take it to a Game 5, playing on Wild West Saloon on one of the better maps, then you never know. Lazarus could be in a good spot, but first, they need to take that game 4.
Sorry, I'm just looking at chat between the two teams and our admins, and Hale and Deadly are saying they're not ready because they need to relax after that last. I mean, to be fair, with how close it was, I can understand, and with them now being one map away from getting through to Texas, like that's a lot of pressure on their shoulders, and they definitely want to be able to take a breather, think some things over, because I mean, basically all expense paid trip, travel, accommodations. You get to shake this man's hand, which in its right should be worth a ton of money. Then you get to see.
None of it's worth a ton of money. Maybe like $2.
That's a ton in some countries. You never know. But it's a lot on the line, you know, to really make a name for yourself, to be able to travel, meet your teammates, everything, the whole situation.
And the prize money as well.
Oh yeah, of course, and the prize money. That was like the cherry on top when it comes to. But we did move on to Skyscraper now. Back to TDM. Lazarus did win when we were on Military Warehouse before, but can they do it again to take us to a 5th and final map here, Lethal?
That's right, Mano with the first strike there. And you get a lot of interesting start strategies here. Sometimes you can see a lot of teams holding backs at separate angles, waiting for them to make the first move to push up top mid. Or sometimes you'll see 3 or 4 members push all the way through top mid or try and get a sneaky flank from behind. But that wasn't the case. Lazarus stood their ground, like you mentioned before, can play quite passive on TDMs. You know, sometimes TDMs can be quite a passive game type. But look at this though. 3 members of Forza just waiting to push through with Mano all on his own.
He should not win this. There we go. I was going to say, there should be no way he's going to win that.
Imagine.
That would definitely be impressive. And it actually seems to have flushed out the rest of the players. You can see Lazarus kind of being caught with their pants around their ankles, not really expecting or not really knowing where to go in this situation, as control of this little room has gone over the way of Forza. And this little shot by Hale does help secure them one step closer to being in the lead, but as we can see, the lead's still in favor of Lazarus yet again.
It's very hard as well, don't get me wrong, Forza done a great job going around as a Wolfpack in free, trying to take parts of the map, but with that G-Launcher as well, this is the thing with the consumables in Season 2. It kind of stops you from making these small plays, but look at that now, Mano with a double elimination with Divine King, getting that trade-off there. So it's looking very good here for Lazarus to start off with.
Yeah, 154 to 91. And again, just sitting back, Lord Mano. Well, he's not on a lot of HP, but he's just looking to do as much damage as he possibly can. Might try to play the long-range weapon like you said before. He's so low on health, but eventually he should be closed out on. But Lazarus, again, taking their time, not giving really any of these angles up. The gap has thinned. There's only 20 points now between the two teams. But we know, again, how low Lord Mano is. They know that 20 points can quickly swing in the favor of Forza.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of players. Sometimes if you get one really weak, they'll wait for the rest of the team to respawn. They'll get behind them. But nice shot there from Hale. He's been doing work every single map, and he's definitely a force to be reckoned with here. But the Viking does try and take up one more. Oh, Larson managed to probably push in a little bit too far there. Mano managed to clean up. But we'll have to see how Lazarus push out here, because even though Forza had the map control, they're trying to make plays, but Mano there did get the flank, did get taken down by Hale anyway. But look at that, Divine King, X has managed to get 2 of their own. But Larson, again, managed to get the refrag.
Thing is, like, once you have a lead, like we do have Lazarus have, albeit 12 points, you don't have to play aggressive ever. You can just literally sit back, let them come to you, and force them to make these mistakes so they can net you a bigger and bigger lead. And I think that's exactly what they're doing. I like this. It's smart. It's not the most flashy of plays, but hey, when a trip to the US and to play on a tournament, a lot of money on the line is at stake. You play whatever you can do to win.
They can chill, relax, pitch up a tent, see what they can do here and there. But
I think meant Texas. I'm like, you probably shouldn't do that in Texas. It's like 40-something degrees at night, even in winter there. I think you'll melt.
Yeah, that's fully... Okay, maybe I probably wouldn't do that, but I'm sure Lazarus won't anyway. As you can see now, 14-point gap between both these teams. And even though Lazarus have been on the defensive, been doing a good job trying to get some damage done here, and they wait for the opportunity. But look at Forza now. They've been sticking together as a 3 or 4 on every part of the map to see if they can find some kind of opening. But with the high ground they've got here, it's doing so well. But Stason managed to get excellence there. Hale there managed to get another one for themselves.
Look at that.
Look at this now. Now they're the ones who can play defensive. They are the ones who need to wait for Lazarus to make another mistake.
Yeah, they're backed up. They're just holding angles now. They're forcing, like you said, Lazarus to be the ones to push in against them, and that's what's going to happen with a point swing like that. You gave them a couple of pixels to shoot at, and the snipers took your head clean off. Now we see them trying to come around the corner here. Hale's going to come around the corner with some explosives and not really do too much with it. And now back to Lazarus with the 4-point lead. A minute left to go.
Time to run straight back. As you see some of the members...
No, Stason, retreat,
wait
man.
For another day.
Retreat now.
I managed to get a shot off, but he does need to retreat. You are right. I think at that stage, he didn't have damage, but he don't want to take so much. But one snipe shot, any shot really, can finish him off. But right now, he is going to let Hale stand in front of him, so at least he can take the damage for him if he does try and help out. But even though Lazarus had the map control, Forza managed to clean up there.
Now play passive. Now get your 2 lowest HP targets either to die really quickly to respawn back into full HP, or put them in the back and put your high HP targets in front so you can soak up this damage. You only have to last for another 27 seconds to win this and to get through into Texas to the Pro Series event. See Stason still looking for an angle here up against Lord Mono. Eventually Stason's just going to back up. See Larson holding the doorway. They come through. Dadley gets another elimination on the board. Here's this lead is lengthening here, Lethal, with 15 seconds left.
They really need to do something now. Excellent does get one on the board, but it's still a 42-point gap. They really need to do something now. Push together, get some flanks, get some angles, do something to try and catch up. There's only 5 seconds left. Already got 1 down, 2 down there. There's only 23 points between the 2 teams, but in the end, Forza managed to take that just barely. 372 to 351.
I was getting really antsy there. Squeaky bum moment for me for Forza. Like 10 seconds left, you're up by like 30, 40 points. Just hide. You literally don't have to face them. You don't need eliminations. I don't care if you're trying to really bring insult to injury against them. It's all about the victory. It's all about that trip to Texas now to play for the large amount of money. And they did come through in the end, albeit they were definitely challenged on that one.
Oh, definitely. It was a very close affair. You saw a lot of occasions where Lazarus did make the right play just to like wait back and try and get the damage done first before they push in, because they were quite weak in a number of times. But Forza took some huge risks there. You know, with the G launcher and some of the nades, you know, one good shot could easily not clean him up, but get so much damage done in the blast radius. But they didn't really mind too much, but they did it the entire time. So I was quite surprised they got away with that so much.
Yeah, and I was actually surprised to see Forza. Well, not surprised. I was actually happy to see them. Once they had the lead, you saw the instant switch in the mentality and the way that they were taking these fights. They were realizing, all right, let's play defensive. Let them come to us, and then we can win out on these exchanges. And eventually win the whole thing. They win it 3-1. They got their spot now with Unbreakable from EU to represent this region in Texas. But you know what that means? We still have North America to come up. We got to find our 2 finalists from there as well. That'll be coming up in about 2 hours of time. But I think we want to take a look at the standings one more time in a second, just to kind of show you guys of how the points did work out. Because even with that big victory coming through, and we'll take a look at the brackets now actually before we get to standings, so you guys get an idea of the pass here. Even with these results, Unbreakable still had such a massive lead over everyone else.
Yeah, it didn't matter too much. With Unbreakables, they did go out very, very early in the tournament. Definitely the biggest upset of this cup, but doesn't matter too much. They've guaranteed their spot to go to Texas. Haki, a new team which we haven't seen much of in the probably about round of 16, but their first time getting the top 4 in the semi-final. So even though they lost 2-0 to Lazarus, they did a great job at least making it on stream. But it'd be great to see how they play next season with that point reset.
Yep.
And you've got Forza, Major Talent, and Ember 2-0. Quite convincingly, quite surprising considering how good Ember are. But for Forza, I feel like if they didn't take that map number 4, it would have been very difficult to take map number 5. So I think they're feeling pretty relieved.
And I want to go back to something you pointed out for Haki and Ember. The fact is, yes, they cannot qualify for the Pro Series tournament in Texas, but they now have the opportunity to train and work towards the cups for the Latin American event. It's not like, yeah, it's over, all right, you should end your career now. It's no, you come back stronger next time, you get into the Latin American tournament, and then potentially, if you do well there, you might get into the next Gods of Boom. And you might have to compete up against Noble as they take off their shirts. So hopefully someone has some custom shirts made as well to compete against that for when they win, if they win against Noble. But that means we're pretty much done here. I was surprised to see some of these results, but, you know, some great gameplay and some great teams as well. And let's take a look at the standings one more time, just to kind of reaffirm what 2 teams will be moving through into the main event. Unbreakable, I think they had about 275 points, if I'm not mistaken. Tuesday. Oh, they actually came through in 2nd seed. All right, so there you go. So they've come through 1st seed, which means they have an even tougher time if the seeding works correctly into the main event. We have to play against a number 1 seed from another region. So they're going to have definitely a lot of work cut out for them. But Forza taking the #1 spot at 290 points. And that was with Unbreakable getting 0 from this tournament. Like, that's how far ahead they were.
Yeah, it didn't really matter too much. I think they managed to work things out and realised that it doesn't matter how bad they play. Knocked out first round on a final, it doesn't matter. But Forza, getting that #1 seed, that's so huge because I think it guarantees a spot to play in the winners' semi-finals, I believe, in the NA Pro Series. Don't quote me on that, but I am quite sure.
Quoting you on it.
But he's just going to remember it now. When we get there, it's going to be like, no, they're not. And I'm just be like, okay.
Well, I'm sad for Noble a little bit.
I'm really sad. I think both Lazarus and Noble, because the last 2 live events we've had, they've been in the final both times, and now we're not going to see them in the NA Pro Series. But it doesn't mean we won't see them again. We will see them, of course, when we go into the more thorough into the next season, going for that LATAM Pro Series as well. But it just shows that it doesn't matter if you're a veteran team or a new team, there's still that ability to, you know, be able to make these playoffs and be able to qualify for these Pro Series.
Well, unfortunately, we do have to come to an end here for today for the European version of our Cup #7. We still have North America to come up in about 2 hours of time, so make sure you come back in, make sure you check out what's going to be happening there. And we'll see you guys in about 2 hours of time with some North American action.